real estate in Nigeria, what are um, the common mistakes to avoid, the top mistakes to avoid when buying properties in Nigeria, whether you are buying land, whether you are buying houses? Initially, we wanted to do land, but it just occurred to me that why don't you cover everything at a go? Let's talk about properties, let's talk about land, and real estate itself. I'm going to talk about the reason why people invest in real estate to start with. Part of why people buy real estate, whether they are buying land or they are buying properties in Nigeria, is to store wealth, is a good store of wealth. The same way you buy your gold for women, to buy gold to keep so that with time it's going to appreciate, is the same thing you buy land or you buy property, is a good store of wealth. You are seeing, I see a video online and it says the only form of investment is real estate, real estate, real estate. And the guy was so confident about real estate because you can see what you've bought. It's physical. There's no story around it. It's not like I'm buying Bitcoin today or I'm buying cryptocurrency tomorrow and then I'm losing 50%. No, it doesn't work that way. Even during the financial market crisis of 2008, when the United States housing market crashed and you had so many foreclosures, you had, a terrible situation. People lost value on their properties, but over the years, they recovered, they've moved on. Those properties didn't just develop wings and disappear into thin air. Those properties are still there today. In Nigeria, you can make reference to your father's property. Like I grew up in Ekiti State. I went to school, and you attended secondary school in Ekiti State. So my father's property is still in Ekiti State today. Way back then, maybe they sell a plot of land in Ekiti State for 10 naira, but now they sell it for as much as 300,000 naira, 400,000 naira. So it may not mean so much to people, but if you look at the level of increase, that's a multiple folds. And so it's a good store of wealth, and then it's a basic need for human beings. It's one of the basic needs. The reason people keep saying, why is America, why is UK different from Nigeria? What's the major difference? It's just, for a country like UK, the major difference is just that they've been able to provide a safety net for every citizen of the country, of the society. And what do I mean by safety net? I mean, there is avenue to get food, there's avenue to get shelter if you're in crisis, and also there's avenue to get clothing. So, and healthcare, especially in UK, healthcare is free. So if you take away those factors, those basic need of human, you take it away from UK today, I can bet you the same situation will repeat itself. What you're having, the challenges you see in Nigeria, you see it in UK, you see it in US and what have you. So housing is a basic need of human being. Is part of what dignifies a human being. We are not mamas who lives in caves. So housing is a basic need. Then it's a good tool for getting collateral, for getting loans. So it's a good security, it's a good form of security. So you need a loan. Your bank will rather want to give you a loan, taking your house as a collateral. In fact, in the hierarchy of things, they would take liquid assets first. What are liquid assets? I'm talking about your cash. I'm talking about your fixed deposit. I'm talking about your treasury bills. I'm talking about the bonds. Those are liquid assets that they can sell within maybe 3-4 days. Then they come to your real estate. So real estate is also a good form of investment and a good collateral, a good security, form of security. Another reason why people buy real estate is capital appreciation. I need to say this because the first point I'm talking about is the purpose. A lot of people get the purpose of why they are buying properties wrong. So the purpose have to be defined. People always say that when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So if you are entering the property market, or you even have properties, you must be able to segment them into these classes of topics that I'm talking about, especially if you have them in Nigeria. So you can't just say, because I see a lot of people in diaspora, if we have people outside the country on the platform, I see a lot of people in diaspora saying, hey, I just want to tie something down at home. I just want to tie something down at home. That thing is so wrong. There's nothing like tying something down at home. So whatever you are doing has to have meaning, has to have a purpose. So it must fall under one of these categories. It's either you are saving you are taking some of your savings and then you are buying property in Nigeria, and then you see that it's store of what, or is a basic need. You are putting people there, you are taking rent, for collateral, using it to take a loan, and then for capital appreciation. So over time, you discover that the prices of properties increase. I want to share an experience with everybody. We built about 11 terraces in Ilupeju, Lagos State. Ilupeju is a central area in Lagos State. We built about 11 terraces and delivered them to clients in late last year, stroke this year, when we were selling. In fact, some buyers bought their properties as low as 55 million, 4-bedroom with 1-room BQ terrace. By the time we were concluding the project, price had gone up to 65 million. Some people bought at 65. By the time we got out of sight and tenants started moving in, expatriates started moving in, people came with 75, 80 million to buy from those who own those properties. So you can imagine somebody who did an investment 2 years ago, 55 million, 60 million, and then you already have somebody offering you 80 million in 2021, something that you did in 2019. So that's a good investment. That's a good investment. And so real estate can afford you that. And it's not even about now, we're talking about the long term. For the past 10 years, people bought plots in Lekki about 20 years ago for 1 million naira. In Aja, people bought for 500,000 naira. In Lekki right now, Lekki phase 1, to get a plot, you'll be looking at about 150 million. So that's almost 1,500% appreciation. So over time, and the same thing, I'm making more reference to Lagos because our headquarters is in Lagos. We are more based in Lagos. Most of our operations is in Lagos. And the truth of the matter is, whatever is happening in Nigeria, Lagos is the model that other states actually follow. Hardly will you see other states coming up with their own schemes, with their own thing, without picking what Lagos is doing. So I'm going to be making a lot of reference to Lagos because we are based in Lagos. So that doesn't mean whatever is happening in Nigeria is only limited to Lagos, or that you can't get things done in other states like Abuja or Kano or Kaduna or what have you. So I'm just talking based on what is around me and what we're managing. So regular source of income, I'm going to be talking about this, because people say they want to buy properties and they want to let them out. If you're not careful, that decision can give you IBP, can give you heart attack, because Nigerians, part of our challenge is that we have a culture of not paying up, meeting up with agreements, but once you are grounded and you're talking to companies like General Properties like us, you're talking to professionals like Blooming Edge Group, we can put you through because we've been able to navigate the waters. The same thing that some people do, they will buy properties to say they want to let and they are regretting. Some people do it and they are happy. And that's what they are using to pay their school fees. That's what they're using to do so many things in life. So it's about getting your strategy right and learning the right thing. So I'm going to be coming back to that, how to do your rental property investment. So then another purpose why people buy real estate is for gift and inheritance. There's a place in the Bible that says that a virtuous man or woman leaves an inheritance for his children. It should be the goal of everybody to leave something for their children. You see America, you see generational wealth. You see people starting the Ford family, starting a car. How many years ago now, you still see Ford outside there. And even Trump, even the past president Trump, how did he get his capital to start business? It was the parents. So you see generational wealth. And this is one of the things that is missing in the Black community all over the world, not just in Africa, not just in Nigeria. And it's a challenge to us because I know that everybody listening to me tonight is a Black. In fact, 90% or 95% is going to be Black. So I'm challenging us, Research has shown that an average Black man leaves just about $1 to their children once they are dying. When we talk about average, so we imagine those who are doing and those who are not even doing at all, who are not leaving anything behind at all. We're talking about those who are living and those who are not leaving anything behind. So you can imagine people leaving just $1 as inheritance to their kids. That's so bad. So we need to do better. We need to cultivate that habit of, leaving something for the future generation, creating wealth for posterity. And real estate is one of the things that can guide us into that. Then another thing is real estate is an edge against inflation in Nigeria. In Nigeria, within the past 1 year, we've had serious inflation because of the type of government we have in place now, and they've not really tried in terms of managing the economy. It's not something that is hidden. The results are there. So you see inflation in terms of food. You see inflation in terms of power. Yes, electricity is much more stable in Nigeria now, but the price has gone up for those who are getting stable electricity. I can list them. So real estate is one of the things in Nigeria, especially for those who are not in Nigeria. Real estate is one of the things that people use to hedge against inflation. And let me tell you how it works. An average, because the real estate market is not so strongly regulated. Let me say it's semi-strongly regulated in Lagos. But when you go to states like Ekiti, you go to states like Osun, Oyo State, Niger State, Imo State, Anambra State, the regulation is lax. And so because the regulation is lax, a landlord can come out to say that I was buying a bag of rice last year for 25,000 naira. Now, a bag of rice has gone up to 35,000. So my rent that was 300,000, I can't take 300,000 again. I have to take 400,000 naira. So people have power to fix prices, to change prices at will. It has its advantage and it has its own disadvantage. But if you are playing real estate in Nigeria, that's one of the safe things that you can do to hedge against inflation, to hedge against increase in price and protect your wealth. So I've discussed the reasons why people buy real estate. The reasons are endless. You can add yours. People can also buy real estate because they are led by the Holy Spirit. In Nigeria, almost everything we do, we are led by the Holy Spirit. So you can add yours. So the list is endless. So purpose, then you look at under purpose, you're talking about, are you buying for the long term? Are you buying for the medium term? Are you buying for the short term? There are some classes of properties you shouldn't buy for the short term. There are some classes of properties that you can buy, they serve the long term and they serve the short term. I've faced situations where people abroad tell me, people at home tell me, Jide, I have this 5 million naira and I want to buy, I have this 10 million naira. I want to buy this property that your company is selling in Lekki, and I'm planning to sell it in the next 7 months. What increase am I going to get on that sales? And so for naive realtors, for realtors who are not sincere, for realtors who don't really know what they're doing, they will come, within 1 year you can make 30%, within 1 year you can make 50%, within 1 year you can make 60%. Yes, it's possible. But it may also not be possible because, and then when it comes to liquidity in real estate, liquidity means how quick you can sell an asset, how quick you can convert it to cash. So in terms of liquidity, the type of property itself now determines how liquid it. Let me paint a scenario to just explain. We built fully detached duplex in Allen, for a wonderful client of ours who has been a major source of support for us over the years. So we sold the property in Allen to him. Let's say he bought it at 65, and he wanted to resell after a year. No, after 6 months, he wanted to resell the property because of the location, because a lot of people want to live within the Ikeja vicinity in Lagos. We were able to sell within, we had so many offers coming in. That's the number one thing. And we're able to wrap up the transaction within 6 months. We're able to sell at least they made a margin of about maybe 10-15%. And we now had a different scenario. The same client now had a flat to sell in Ikoyi. And that flat, the current price should be around 250 million. And when they bought the property, they bought it at 180 million. But they need the cash so quick, and so we're under pressure to get it so quick. But it's not easy, because it's not everybody that can cough up a property worth 250 million. So for that kind of scenario, it would be wiser that you are not buying something that expensive if you know you are going to need to sell it in the next 6 months to 1 year to 2 years to 3 years, because the level of buyers in that segment, the number of buyers in that segment are not much. Even those who have been working in the United States for the past 20 years, I don't know who are in high-paying professions like medical doctors, like surgeons. Not all of them can come up to say they want to buy a property in Nigeria cash down, 250 million. 250 million presently is about $500,000 US dollars. So that would be a bit of a challenge. So you have to, but when you are looking at the low segments, low income segments, where you buy plots of land for 5 million, like Ibejuleki, where we have Victoria Park, Grand Park, we sell plot of land 5 million, 7 million, 6 million, half plots, maybe 3 million, 4 million. Some places in Chimawa where we've sold 2 million, some places we've sold 1 million per plot, where people pay like 100,000 naira per month, where you can go and do, in fact, some of these sites, when we're starting 10, 12 years back, they sold for as low as 500,000 naira. Those ones are easy to convert. Those ones are easy to convert because you have a lot of people in that segment who are earning 100,000 naira, who are earning 100,000 naira per month, 50,000 naira per month, 200,000 naira per month, and they can do instrumental payment for you on that. So purpose has to be defined. What's the use to which you are putting the property? So purpose has to be defined. So, and then you look at pricing. Pricing is one of the things people get wrong in real estate. So it's not just about somebody telling you, I mean, real estate in Nigeria now, it's not just about somebody telling you the property is in a strategic location. Now, let me paint a scenario. We sold Victoria Park in Lekki about 2 years ago for about 5.5 million naira. And some developers in the same vicinity were selling for 10 million naira, you know, and we were shocked. It's as if we were underselling. But by the time we sat down critically, we looked at the value at which this property is supposed to be selling. It shouldn't be selling more than this. And then we did our research. We discovered that because these developers were paying commissions of 30%, 40%, so they had to jack up the price of the property to be able to afford those commissions. The implication of that is that by the time the buyer wants to sell, he's going to be in the same market competing with people who bought from us at lesser prices. So there's nothing. So the transaction, the people who have won in that transaction are just the developers who have sold very high and the agents who have collected high commission. It's not illegal. Whatever they've done is not illegal. But you know, you just know what you are doing when you're in the market. It's not that they've done anything wrong. They've not done anything wrong. Everybody have their model for selling. Everybody have their own strategy for selling. So, but I'm telling you now, for anybody who's trying to sell that type of property that they've bought very high, it's going to be difficult. So it's not just about the property. It's not about location. The price you are buying is also very important. One reference point you have to know when you are buying rental properties, like you want to buy a block of flats and you want to let them out, that rental property must at least be, by the time you calculate the rent you're going to be getting per annum, you should be able to get between 6% to 8% per annum, at least on the average, for it to be a good investment. And because rent is going to keep increasing, you must be able to recoup the price of that property between 10 and 15 years. Between 10 and 15 years. So I'm going to paint a scenario now. So let's say I buy 100 million naira, beautiful property, beautiful, and I'm planning to let it out. It's not as if I want to live in it. And I'm earning just, I'm getting a rent of just 3 million naira on it. And I buy another property worth 50 million. And I'm getting a rent of just about 2 million, or let me say 2.5 million on it. So I bought 100 million, I bought another 150 million. By the time you calculate the rental yield, 3 million over 100 million is about 3%. 2.5 million over 50 million is about 5%. So you discover that the guy who bought a lesser property is still in a better position. So, and in some vein, you can even benchmark the price of your property against what the fixed income market is doing. So the fixed income market, where you have treasury bill, where you have bonds, you buy property, you get interest at maybe 7%. Like presently, annual treasury yield in Nigeria is about 8 to 9%. It used to be very sweet about 2 years ago. People get as much as 18%. So if you get a property that can give you a rental return of 6% or 7%, and then you have a fixed yield investment that can give you 8%, you are better off buying a property, because in addition to the rental yield you are getting from your property, you're also going to experience price appreciation. But if you buy that bond, if you buy that treasury bill, is fixed, you are not getting any price appreciation. So people need to understand the purpose. Why am I buying this? What is my goal? Does it fall under any of the ones above? If I'm buying something for inheritance, for example, then that should be something that, okay, I'm not even bothering myself to say I'm trying to put in the market in the next 2 or 3 years. If I'm buying something for capital appreciation, it's something that I know I should be able to sell in the next 2 or 3 years. So purpose have to be well defined. Then we talk about sales velocity, under purpose. Sales velocity means the speed at which you can sell a property. The speed at which you can sell a property. I've made reference to my client who has a property in Ikoyi and has another property in Ikeja. And you discover that the sales velocity for the two is different, because the one in Ikoyi is quite high in terms of price, and the one in Ikeja is still a bit low. So the rate at which you can sell both of them is still different. So you can sell the one in Ikeja faster because it doesn't cost more than maybe 570 million. And then the one in Ikoyi is selling for 250, 300 million. The velocity, the sales time may be longer. Now compare a place like Ikeja to buying a plot in Shimawa for 2.5 million. The sales velocity for Shimawa is still going to be the one in Ikeja, because a lot of people can buy 2.5 million worth of property for different reasons. So purpose have to be defined. When purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So the second point I'm going to be talking about is possession. Possession. So I'm going to be talking about possession. So I'm going to ask a question. You need to, I don't know if people can be unmuted so that they answer. So when we talk about possession, how important is possession? So between somebody who has a CFO to property and another person who has, who is in possession of the property, who is in better standing if they both have clashes and they go to a court of law? Who is in better standing? So if you have anybody who can answer that.
Yeah, I've on mute, asked put on mute so they can engage you.
Okay, so between somebody who has a CFO and somebody who is in possession of a property, who has better standing if they both appear in court? Can anybody help out?
CFO, I think the person who,
the person with the CFO will be much more of a better standing, actually.
Yeah, the CFO has the proper documentation to prove it in court.
Where is our speaker? I think. Give me a second. I think I lost him just right there. Yeah. Hello, Jide.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
I want fleet.
Can you see me now?
Yes, we can. Hello, Jide.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, please. So most people selected the CFO and also in the chat group.
Okay, so we can go ahead. So most people pick the CFO. Yeah. Situations, the more you look, the less you see. when it comes to real estate in Nigeria, possession is king, is the number one thing. I've seen scenarios where people leave their land, they don't take possession, and they go to process CFO, and before they get to that land, somebody else has taken it. You know, there's this notion that, you know, people think CFO is the all in all when it comes to land transactions and securing land and what have you. CFO is actually a very good instrument, you know, that shows that you have right to this land, you have access to you have claim to this land. Is actually a very good one. And I'm still going to talk about other titles. So it's not just about CFO when we get to documentation. So, but there is something that people call the root of titles. If anybody comes to prove to the court that he knows the root of that land, the root of title, better than you, than who has CFO, and then is in possession of that land, is going to defeat your CFO. Because there are sometimes there could be errors where people go to do CFO, or they mistakenly sold it to them, does not mean the CFO is going to be valid if it gets to court. So the first thing is possession. So if you are buying land from a registered company, maybe a developer like Denaro, and you think gone to the land is fenced, you see it is okay, we understand it's fenced. They're in possession of it. If anything goes wrong, you can owe them to ransom and maybe take them to court, not to ransom, owe them to responsibility, take them to court and do all sorts. But when you are buying private land from Omonile, beyond the CFO, you need to take possession because possession is king. When the matter gets to court, if there should be any disagreement or anything, the first thing the law wants to establish is who is currently in possession of that land. All they will tell you is maintain status quo. Maintaining status quo is everybody should stay the way they are. So whoever is staying on that land is going to stay on that land until that case is concluded. So if you like, you can have your CFO, you can have your governor's consent, you can have this. You are now going to, whoever comes to court must be able to now prove, to say, hey, these are the reasons why this person should be vacated. Even in tenancy in Lagos, that's why you discover that it's difficult to evict tenants. The sitting tenants, the law is somehow on their side. So you can't just go in easily, even for a tenant that is defaulting, to say that you want to evict them. You know, they're going to go to court. They can keep telling the court, hey, I'm sick today, I'm sick tomorrow. So there are some aspects of our law that has not really been tightened. So possession is very key. So you are buying the land from anomaly and not fence it. There are so many ways you can take possession. Number one, you can build on that land. Don't just leave it empty, especially within Lagos. If it's outside Lagos, some of these issues, they are non-issues. Like if you buy land in some states in Lagos, in fact, in the north, if you buy land in a place like Kaduna, Kano, you can be rest assured that 2-3 years from now, even if you don't fence that land, you will meet your land there and nobody will touch it. If you buy land in Ekiti State, in Osun State, and you don't even fence it, be rest assured that in the next 5 years, your land probably will still be there. But if you are dealing in the Lagos market, and then you buy land from Omonile, you didn't take possession, and then nothing is happening there, forget about it, they will take that land away from you, and they will defeat your CFO in the court of law. All they just need to do is to come up with stories, and they get people to be on their side, and then they just tell stories. Hey, you didn't buy the land from the right person, you bought it from the wrong person. Hey, so that CFO is even of no value. So these are issues that we've been involved with, that we've experienced. So that it took us years to now realize that, hey, beyond carrying CFO, beyond carrying this document, possession is very key. So if you are buying rental property, for example, you don't pay all the money at once. For example, the property is 50 million naira. Just tell them I'm depositing 30 million naira. The tenants, when they leave, I'm going to balance you with 20 million naira. With that, you've done two things. You've ensured that whoever is selling to you is putting pressure on those tenants to leave because they know he has a standing to collect, money to collect, from you. And that's one of the strategies for possession. Then when it comes to vacant land, put something on it. If it's possible, go and buy one gravel, just pour it on it. Or one truck of granite, pour it on it. Or you put mechanics there, let them be doing mechanics. Or you put farmers there, let them be farming, whether piggery farm, what have you. Let them be doing that. So possession is very key. So for real estate companies, you get letter of allocation, you get receipt and all that. And for our own firm, there are some sites we don't even tell people to do fence because you've gotten your letter of allocation, you've gotten your receipt, so your land is there. That's what we do full time. But in Lagos, if you know you are not doing that full time, you don't have the administrative capacity to do that year in, year out, monitoring land, monitoring the fact that nothing is happening to it. You can't it's not advisable for you to just go out and saying you are acquiring. It's not as if it may not be safe by the end, but the IBP will be too much. Because as soon as that place is becoming developed, the Omoniles will start using all sorts of gimmicks to try and take possession of that land. You can talk to more people, they will share their experience with you on that. Then the third one is documentation. So we're talking about CFO now. And hope you guys know that CFO also has a lifespan. The lifespan can be in Lagos, can be between 25, even generally, 25 years, 50 years, 99 years. So what it means is that land, once that CFO expires, it reverts back to the government. You need to renew it, even before it expires. Let me paint a picture for you. We built a property in Lagos for a certain client, and they are the registered conveyance. And that registered conveyance has been in existence since 1976. But there was a time that the Lagos state government came back to that area and said, all existing titles, they are not being recognized again. That those who are having large expanse of land, they're going to take some of it. They will give them some back in form of accession. So those whose land were collected, let's say maybe they had 1 acre. 1 acre means 6 plots. So out of 6 plots, they were given back 3 plots. The government took 3 plots to use for their own purpose. So the 3 plots that was given to the landowners, they are supposed to now get a letter of allocation, process CFO on it. So these guys now went to process 25 years. And within those 25 years, they just went to bed. This 1976, 1980 transaction, 1983 to be precise. So 25 years plus 1983. So I think that thing expired 2015 or thereabout. And they did not renew that title. By the time they want to renew that title, they went back to Lagos State government. Lagos State government collected nothing less than 60 million naira because they treated it as fresh application. So the CFO, the fact that you collected CFO is not all in all. You need to understand the intricacies that are at stake. Number one, how many years is on it? So 99 years for residential. They do for industrial areas, they do 50, 25 years, and what have you, and so on and so forth. So documentation is very important in real estate in Nigeria. So the first one is receipt. That's the first thing that talks about title. So when you talk about title, we're not talking about CFO. We're not talking about CFO alone. We're talking about so many things. Because even a receipt, somebody who has a receipt, and you that has CFO, if the person who has a receipt bought from the original owner, it will defeat your CFO. So you need to understand it that titling documentation is not just restricted to CFO alone. And there are some transactions that you can't get CFO on them. For example, a land that already has CFO, you can't get CFO on it again. What you can get is what you call governor's consent. So the owner is going to prepare a deed of assignment and is going to give it to you from that CFO, and you will take that deed of assignment to the governor to sign. So that's what they call governor's consent. So the governor is trying to say that I'm aware of every subsequent transaction on this property. So that's what the governor's consent is. So titling starts from receipts, starts from contract of sale, starts from deed of assignment. Deed of assignment is another powerful document. Most of moneyless in Lagos, what they have is deed of assignment from people that they bought from years ago. There's a family called Ashamu family. Last year, they went all over Alausa to mark houses. And they marked them because they said they got a Supreme Court judgment that returns that land back to them. Because their fathers bought those lands about 30, 40 years ago. And those lands were properly registered. It was a deed of assignment. So when a deed of assignment was registered in those days, they call it registered conveyance. So a lot of people thereafter had brought from Lagos State, process CFO and what have you. They had to pay ratification to that family. That's just the truth. Even Coca-Cola I heard Coca-Cola was also affected. Coca-Cola on Agedegbe Road. So survey documentation. So survey is another powerful document that you cannot just overlook. Survey is very important. Survey has killed some transactions because an error on that survey, can really be fatal. So when you are trying to buy land, make sure that if you are not going through a real estate development company like us, you are getting a qualified surveyor who knows his onions, who knows what he's doing. A survey, for example, we have the name of the owner, we have the address, we have the coordinate that identify where those lands are positioned, so that any neutral person can pick that survey and go to that land and check, and they will see that the land is there. So a survey is very, very important. So you must make sure that that survey is lodged at the Surveyor General's office. It's called the red copy. So you can't just do a survey and it's not lodged. So in the future, when they want to make reference to it, they must be able to get it. So there are copies that surveyors get from Surveyor General's office to show that lodgement of red copy has been done. A lot of home buyers, I can tell you now, don't do that. They don't even know that it's possible. Even some of us, when we started, it's not as if we knew all these things. It took us years to realize these things. So Dayo, please send me how many minutes do I have left? You can type it to me. So it seems the time is far gone. So then you have deed of sublease. So in some places where you buy flats, what you are getting is a deed of sublease based on the CFO that is in existence. So then you have registered conveyance. Before 1978, any land you buy and you register a deed of assignment on it, it's called a registered conveyance. These are valid titles. So then you have CFO that is so popular that everybody thinks, hey, when you just buy land, it's just CFO. No, it's not just CFO. Then you have governor's consent. So there are some lands, once you buy them, you have some properties, once you buy them, okay, 20 minutes. So some properties, when you buy them, some land, when you buy them, it already has CFO. The government won't issue another CFO on it. What they can issue is governor's consent. So documentation. So don't make mistake with documentation. No matter how small it is, get your documents. No matter how, if it's the receipt you can get now, make sure you get them. Don't say, I trust you, I'll come back. No, don't do it. So many things can change. So documentation. A lot of people don't get it right. It's just like you buying a car. The vehicle's license, roadworthiness, you kept it on. It's never. The law enforcement officers on the road will stop you and they will ask demand for those things. You must be able to provide them. So that's that for that. So the next one I'm going to be talking about is using professionals, the right professionals. In real estate in Nigeria, you have few professionals, that can make or mar your transaction. You have agents, marketers, realtors. They can make or mar your transactions. You have land surveyors. They can make or mar your transactions. Some land surveyors, they don't know what they are doing. They're not competent. They've merged. Some of these things I share with you is not as if it's theory. I didn't learn them. It's not as if I learned all of them in school. Some of them, yes, I may learn them, but some of them are things I've been born. So I can come to share my testimony with you. So I've sent surveyors to site before that they went to do rubbish. They had to correct it again. So it's possible. So you have lawyers, your lawyers too. They must know what they are doing. And you too must have sometimes also do research, know the right questions to ask your lawyers, don't just let them bamboozle you, know the right questions to ask them, and let them do the right thing. So professionals, using the right professionals is very important. It's very important. It can't be understated. Land surveyors, for example. Let me share another experience with you. We're taken to a property along along Oshodi Expressway. It's about 2 plots, prime location, lovely location, facing the express. In fact, we've gone to meet with the family because we do joint venture developments a lot in the eyebrow areas of Lagos State. So we've gone to have extensive meeting with the family. We've concluded on everything. We did our presentation. They fell in love with our presentation. We wanted to do 6 units of townhouses, 4-bedroom, 1-room BQ, 6 units. And by the time we finished that meeting, I asked them, all this I've been asking, what's the title? Where's the title to this land? I don't worry, the title is safe. Don't worry, just meet the family, you know. Is the deed of a sublease, is this one, is that one. So after that, we sent our surveyor to chart the site and put it in Alausa. And we discovered that that land has been, the title has been revoked since 1956. And the people living on the land themselves, they are not even aware. So some of these things are shortcomings in our system of governance, that people will sit in the house and then the land has been revoked and they are not even aware. Or sometimes they are aware, they choose not to do anything about it. So having a competent surveyor can save you a lot of headache. You know, there's what you call, when it comes to soil investigation, I'm going to be talking about that. So let me move to soil investigation because there's a lot to cover. Then let me talk about agents before I leave professionals. Don't allow any agents or real estate marketers to sweet mouth you. Some of the things they will tell you when they take you for site inspection is, you see that house is built by the Minister of Education, is built by the governor's son, is the one living in that place. In fact, somebody just called now to say this house property now, they want to sell it now, you know, so you need to move now. So they put a sense of urgency. Don't be under pressure. That property has been there before you, they did not sell it. So in all probability, there's no assurance that they will still sell it even after you've left. So just reason. So don't let anybody come and use the fact that, hey, if I 10 people on it right now, 10 people on it, one of them should buy it. And let me tell you another thing. There's nothing like once one opportunity is gone, it's gone. No. In real estate in Nigeria, opportunity will show every day. So take your time. Know what you're doing before you buy. Opportunities will show every day. Then be very careful when agents come to start saying what is not. And your sixth sense is even telling you that this thing, you know, for example, a property is already distressed. Distress means maybe the foundation has failed. And then the agent is saying, no, is the shape of the land, is this. My friend, just walk away, you know. Then I'm going to be talking about soil and property investigation. So this is a very huge topic. I can't exhaust it today. So the first thing is you need to check when it comes to soil investigation, property investigation, what's the status of the land? What's the status of the land? In Lagos State, for example, I can tell you categorically, 80% of every land that you see has one issue or the other. The only thing is just that the issues are more than one issue is much more smaller than another. So there may be a court case on it. There may be an acquisition. Let me tell you, virtually all land, especially except from few areas like Ikeja where you have freehold properties or government residential areas or direct government allocations, every other place in Lagos State is under acquisition. So, but that doesn't mean that it's not a solvable thing. And then let me explain the concept of acquisition. So that because a lot of us just get scared, hey, when land is under acquisition, hey, I'm not doing it on it again. No, it doesn't mean. Some lands are ratifiable. It means you can apply to government to say, this land, I want to ratify it, get your phone on it, and they will give it to you. So how did acquisition come about? In 1978, Olusegun Obasanjo, our president then, you know, came up with a law and said that the interest in land in every state is vested in the state governor. So the governor is holding the land in trust for everybody. So what it means is that even if a land is free, owned by a family genuinely, the governor can come tomorrow and say, this land is for overriding public interest, is 100 hectares. We are collecting 80 hectares and we are giving you 20 hectares. So it's possible. Then under the acquisition, you now have what you call committed lands. In Lagos State, committed lands are no-go areas. What it means is that the government already has a plan for that land. Maybe they want to do a seaport, they want to do airports, they want to do build a hospital. If you like, be a son of the what have you, go and buy that land. At the right time, when they need to use that land for what they want to use it for, they will demolish those properties. So we need to understand status. You know, nature of soil. So you need to understand status from Alausa to know that, okay, whatever the situation of the land is, what can we do to improve on it? So your surveyor is going to help you do that once they chart the property or land in Alausa. So now, nature of soil is also very important. People buy properties because they say it's very cheap. They sold Magodo. They are selling, one plot is presently selling for maybe 200 million naira. And so they offered you one at 100 million naira. And you say, wow, in Magodo, and another one is selling for 200 million naira. And so you feel like going for the cheaper one. Not knowing that the cheaper one, we need pile foundation. When you are doing construction, in housing construction, there are 3 types of foundations you can do in Nigeria and Lagos, especially. You have the pad foundation, the strip and pad. So what it means is you are just digging the ground, you are blinding the concrete, you are putting your reinforcement, and you are just building, and you do German floor. So that's pad foundation. That's what is common in places like Ekiti State, places like Abuja and what have you, where you don't have poor soil. Then you have the raft foundation. I'm just talking about, there are different types of foundation, the common ones, most common ones. Raft foundation is common in places like Kaja, where you have sandy soil, and you just do raft foundation, and then you do that. Then you have pile. Pile means that that soil has a poor bearing capacity. It cannot bear multiple story buildings without you going to a deeper depth. So what it means is that if you are going to a deeper depth, you are going to be spending more on foundation. So you need to count the cost. Is it really worth it? And do we have enough good professionals to do that? Don't forget that pile foundation takes more time. It's going to cost you more, and then it needs to be properly done, or else the building can fail. So nature of the soil is one of the investigations you do, you know. Then the shape of the land also is very important. Regular shaped land like rectangles and squares are easier to design and build on than triangles. So you need to check these things. Or trapeziums. If somebody sells you a triangle, there was a property we offered in Ageding, for example. As soon as I saw the survey, I said it's a no for a developer. It's a triangle. Because by the time you do your design, a larger portion of the land is going to be wasted. So there is no point. So the shape of the land is also very important. Then the topography of the land. These are some of the investigations you do. Is it on a hill? Is it in a valley? So if you are, it's in a hill and then part of it has valley, you may need to do retaining wall, you know, to protect the land, you know, from sliding. So it's going to cost more money. Then you need to also know if it's rocky. Some places that are very rocky, to even build on them is very difficult. Then some other investigations you do, the property seller, is he alive? If he's not alive, the people selling, do they have letter of administration to sell? In Nigeria, when somebody is dead, whoever, and the person leaves no will, the person died intestate, the person died without a will, the family or whoever is in charge is supposed to prepare a letter of administration through the court to be able to deal on that property. And that takes a long period of time. So if somebody brings me, and let me tell you, a lot of the properties in the market, most times 40% of them are from people who have died and the family wants to sell. And a lot of families don't like doing all this due diligence. And these things will slow down the eventual buyers to do what they want to do to perfect their titles. And so if somebody comes, offers me a property in Nogba, one plot of land, the person has died, intestate, and then there is no letter of administration. And they offered me another one with receipt and survey in the same Ogba, and the person is still alive. I'll buy the one with receipt and survey, and I will ignore the ones that doesn't, that even have CFO or what have you, but doesn't have letter of administration, because quarrels can come up tomorrow, and then you'll be the one to face the consequence. So then you have to look at the encumbrance around the property. For example, recently in Maryland, a funny thing happened. Some agents sent us a property to develop, and they sent us the property. All the entire area in Mende is under high tension wire. I'm talking about 16 kVA wire. I'm talking about what do they call them, 33 kVA and what have you. In planning codes, there are setbacks that you are supposed to observe to these type of properties. You know, types of items. The same thing for canals. At least I know for canals, you are supposed to leave 15 meters allowance before you erect a building. So people don't do all this. So in many, so I asked the guy in many, I said, why are you doing this? Why are you sending me a property that is, the high tension wire is closely on top of it? I said, oh God, the whole place is built up. Don't worry. The whole place is built up. You can't just see everybody has built. The fact that everybody has built does not mean that place is still not subject to demolition if an accident happens tomorrow. That's how Nigeria works. Our government can be reactionary instead of proactive. So is when the wire now goes down, somebody is electrocuted. They say, who built under the wires? Who built? Oh yeah, everybody. They are gone. So it's not because somebody is building on, so many people have built on it, that now gives you the right to go and do the same thing. No, that's a very, very wrong step to take. So then you look at slums. You know, are there slums around that property? These are things that devalue the price of a property in the future. So you do your investigations properly, and then you are good to go. And then another point I want to talk about before I round up is quackery. You know, a lot of people try to do it cheap. And sometimes one thing I've learned, especially in construction, is that doing it cheap can be very expensive. It can be very expensive. So it's better from the get-go, just do it right, use the right people. I see a lot of people abroad. You are building properties in Nigeria, and you have what we call current registered engineers, either builders or carbon registered engineers are builders who went to school to study the art of building. Then you now have civil engineers and other affiliated courses that can sit down and pass the current exam. Current is a professional body. It's just like medical doctors. You want to practice in Nigeria, before you practice as a medical doctor, you must sit for the NMA exam. Even if you go to study abroad in Ukraine, in whatever, you come back to Nigeria and sit for that exam. But people do that in those fields. They follow the normal process in those fields. But when it comes to housing, just because it's a bit heavily unregulated, people do all sorts. So I see a scenario where people are building their houses using quantity surveyors to build a house. They are using land surveyor to build a house. They are using somebody who studied estate management to do construction, just because that person is cheaper. And it's very good, it's very good, it's very good. I don't do it. You know, I have penchant for professionalism. And I always say it, I encourage professionals around me, don't encroach on other people's job. You know, and that's why I love countries like the US. You know, why people thrive is because everybody is respected. I had an experience when I had my child in Texas. My child had a sixth finger, and a sixth finger is just something dangling on the finger. And it's a small surgery that anybody could just cut and it will go. And so the pediatrician who took the baby said, this thing is something I can do, but I won't do it. Talk to a pediatric surgeon. So by the time we spoke to a pediatric surgeon, the guy was charging maybe $350 or what have you. So who knows? Maybe if he does it and then it's reported, his license will be revoked. So everybody respect their profession, and that is how it's supposed to be. So if you see other people doing the same thing, following all these things, quackery, using what they are not supposed to use to do what they are doing, please don't follow them. Use the right thing. You want to build, use a current registered engineer who has long years of experience. You've seen what he has done. You want to draw a house, use an architect. So engineers in Nigeria now will now take the job of architect they are drawing. So now starving that field. So it's not the right thing to do. So just because people want to cut corners, some people may not even use engineers at all. So you just use masons who didn't go to school. And so by the time they want to do your risers, they want to do your staircase, you know, you start having all sort of issues. I see some pictures online, people use them for meme that says like when you employ a school teacher to come and do your staircase. I just laugh, you know. So let's avoid quackery. So how do you spot quacks? You know, they have penchants for talking about irrelevant things. For example, I want to buy a property. You come to me, and Pastor, by the grace of God, and Pastor Oludare of the Redeemed Christian of God. I'm just doing this. I will walk away. I will walk away. I don't allow religion to becloud my judgment. And that's one thing people use in Nigeria. If you're not careful, just because it comes to say, God bless you, sir, God bless you, sir, and pastor so. And so you believe he's a pastor. And so people use all these things to deceive people. So if you want to walk. If you want to market something, market it. If you want to build. Don't come to say I'm a pastor, I'm this, I'm that. So, and then when you see people advising you to go against the law, like the story of the guy who was saying I should come and people who are telling me compulsorily I should come and build under a high tension wire, you should know that they need serious talking to, So quackery, we should avoid quackery. The last one is, especially for people outside the country, please avoid emotions when you are doing real estate business in Nigeria. A lot of I've read stories of people being duped by their brothers, by their sisters. You don't mean business with family. You don't mean business with family. It's even better for you to get a real estate development company that has pedigree. Do your due diligence, know them very well and all that. So you get professionals who have sound years in the industry to handle your transaction for you, than saying you are using your elder brother, you are using your younger sister, and then it turns to an argument, and then stories begins to come up. Don't use emotion. Even to buy properties, don't use emotion. Don't use emotion. Some people will buy properties. I've seen in a scenarios where my marketers in the past go to maybe ministries of education to go and market people. And then somebody who didn't want to buy property that day, some of these lands in your father, in Agbara and what have you, you could sell them. You sell them in those days, maybe 200,000 naira deposits, and then you pay 100,000, 50,000 naira instrumental. So just because somebody is sitting, another person is sitting in another place, and he sees them marketing somebody, he will just follow the ad mentality and just go into and buy the investment like that. He has not even thought through, how am I going to sustain the payment? So he's following the bandwagon to just do that investment. So he's using emotion just because other people are doing it, or because in my church, in my cooperative, everybody is doing it. This is what they are buying now. No. Real estate is beyond that. So I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you on the best approach to real estate and not convince you. So thank you. I'll be awaiting questions related to what we've discussed. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jide. Most people they are muted, but I'm pretty sure they've learned a lot from you. Now, when you said, I hope I've been able to convince, it reminds me of those days when you used to represent the school. Yeah, when you used to represent the school in all those debates, we knew you had the talent. So thank you very much for today. If you have any questions, please post it in the group chat. The first question I have is, how do you test the nature of the soil?
Okay, thank you. I forgot to expatiate on that. How do you test the nature of soil? You can't do it yourself. In fact, thank you. Who asked that question, please? That person deserves a round of applause, because I noticed something down that I forgot to discuss. Please, you can't tell the texture of a soil by looking at it. A soil, you may see water on it. It may be waterlogged, and you don't need to do pipe foundation. All they need to do is just to do sand filling, and that soil is good to go. You can build on it. Another soil, you may not see water on top of it like this. It may be dry on the surface, but beneath it are what you call, hydrologists call them, I will remember in the course of our discussion, because we've done a lot of pile foundation too in our company. So there is it's like trees, dead wood that are in that soil that makes it so poor. So it's the work of geologists to do soil tests. So there are some of the professionals in the real estate industry, geologists. And soil test is not something that is so expensive. In a plot of land, they may just need to do one borehole, and then there's another one they call penetrometer or what have you. And it's not so expensive. So it's the work of geologists to do soil tests. And they're everywhere in Nigeria. In fact, if you Google your phone, you will see it. Soil tests in Lagos, geologists. And please be careful. Some quacks also go to copy the soil test of a different site to use it in another site, especially for approval purposes. So you have to know the type of person you are dealing with. It must be somebody of impeccable character. So, because it's very important. So you can never tell the nature of your soil by just looking at it. Geologists, they are trained to determine what is the type of foundation you can do on that soil. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jide. I think you've already answered this question. I'm just putting it there again. Is it only by fencing that you claim possession? But I think you already mentioned other ways where you can claim possession by, hiring people to just work on it and all that. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more?
Okay, so it's not only by fencing that you take possession. There are so many ways you can take possession. By creating activity on that land, you are in possession. So let's say you even employ a mechanic to stay on the land, is working on it, or a farmer to grow vegetables. That's possession. So basically, that's
all right. Awesome. Any more questions? If you have a question, you can identify so I can unmute you. I have to mute everybody, please, just so that we can hear this presenter better. So due to background noise. If you have a question, you can post it on the chat, or you can identify, by just raising your hand there, and I will unmute. All right. Do you or your company help build property outside Lagos?
Outside Lagos, it depends on the state. Our scope of operation is from Abuja downward, from the middle belts to south, east, southwest. Yes, we can build houses for you, and depending on what you also want to build, the duration. So it's quite possible we can actually build, and maybe after you take questions, there's something I missed also on rental properties in Nigeria.
The person mentioned like Ilekiti. The person mentioned like, so I think your Abuja downward is subjective. If I did my NYC in Sokoto, so if I'm looking at Sokoto, can you hear me, Jide? I did my NYC in Sokoto. So if I'm looking at Abuja from Sokoto downward, I can see Nasarawa, I can see Benue, Yobe. So can you give us more
so that's
where your company
Benue, Yobe, that's the middle belt. That's it's not as if those places people are not doing real estate too, but we just be blunt with you about my capacity per time. The one we are doing in the south, east, southwest, we've not exhausted it. So before you now tell me to go to northwest, it's not for nothing really.
Okay, good. Thank you. Another question. What are the most significant questions to ask when buying property from individual owners?
Okay. So especially if the property is not vacant. If the property is vacant, it's a very straightforward transaction. So your lawyer is going to prepare the agreement, the owner signs it, you collect the original copy of title, and you take immediate possession. But where the property is not vacant, you need to determine when are you going to get vacant possession. That's the first thing. And that will now determine the flow of that transaction. So if the person promises you vacant possession in 1 year, he promised you 6 months, he promised you 3 months, you now know your reaction as to the amount to pay for deposits, and all those things. Then you ask about the title to the land. What's the proof that the person selling to you is the one that owns it? So it must be able to show some proof. So either via receipts, either via deed of assignment, either via registered survey, either via CFO, either via consent, it must be able to provide title to you. So problem comes when people now begin to tell you stories. When in 1976, when there's fire now burned the receipt now happened to Kinikon, this one now happened to that. When stories start coming like that, please just go. So the person must be able to show title to that property. And another thing you must confirm, which a competent lawyer should do, part of the search is to confirm if that property is not under a lien. Lien means, hope they've not used the title to borrow loan, to take loan. If they use the property to take loan and you buy it, you are putting yourself in stress, in trouble. You know, because whoever collects money from you has gone, the bank is coming, the bank is, especially if the original is not with you. Even these days, some people forge the original. They will give you, they will think you have the original. Meanwhile, the original of that title is with a bank somewhere. So, but these are the things that if you use a professional, you get to the Bureau of Land in Alausa, easily they will bring it out for you. There's a transaction we did. Those landowners used that property to take 800 naira loan as at 1980, as at 1980 in UBA, from UBA. That transaction was still on that title by the time we searched it. So they have those records as far back as those years. Just do the right thing. Thank you.
All right, I think we'll probably take 2 or 3 more questions, so we can wrap up because of time. This question is it the obligation of the tenant to pay land use charge in a rented apartment? I've had issues like this in the past.
Okay. So it depends on the nature of the rental property. There are some rental properties that we do, their lifespan is just maybe 1-2 years. And yes, it's the obligation under the law, Lagos state law. What the law says is that the landlord should pay the land use charge. That's what Lagos state says. The new rental law. But in practice, when the lease agreement is going about 2-3 years, some landlords say any expenses that comes on that property is not my business within those years, because I don't have the right to increase the rent of that property within those years, maybe 3, 2, 4 years. So now it's part of what will be agreed between the landlord and the tenant. So in that case, the tenant pays the land use charge. But if it's just a renter, legally, what the law says is that the landlord should pay per annum. The landlord should pay.
Oh, thank you, sir. Another question. What's your thoughts about joint housing estates? Is it safer?
Joint housing estates. What's meant by that? I need more explanation on that. Joint housing estates.
Okay, more like cooperatives. More like cooperative. You know, there's so many cooperatives here. This one, the housing estate, where they kind of come together and then you buy plots from them, and then, you know, I don't know what they call them actually.
Housing cooperatives. Well,
yeah,
housing cooperatives are one of the vehicles that people used to finance housing in Nigeria and all over the world. Even in UK, it has really worked for them. You see housing cooperatives approaching the government, getting loan at cheaper rates, and they can provide mortgage to members and what have you. I'm at a loss as to what exactly you mean in terms of buying. Is it cohabiting with them or just buying?
Let me say it in lay terms. Maybe you can then give me the actual terminology. So you all over Lagos in Ibadan, they have places where they say they are building an estate. People should come and buy this land, and they're going to build one big estate somewhere, and you can buy into it, pay some, and then you pay later. I don't know if you've heard something like that.
David, can you please reduce the volume of the TV?
Okay.
Thank you.
So I get what you are saying now. Housing, from what you are saying now, is because some cooperatives are trying to sell parcels of land to people, telling them to come and buy. If they meet all the criteria that the land should have, why not? If they have genuine motives, why not? If those lands meet all the criteria, satisfy all the criteria, you are sure that you are going to get allocation, there will be no story. Because even people who apply for government allocation in some cases, up to now, have not gotten the allocation. So you are sure that you get your allocation, you are sure that you are buying genuine land, there won't be dispute tomorrow. All those factors, about due diligence, that's just due diligence. You need to do an extensive due diligence. So it's not something that a question here, an answer we solve. So a lot of due diligence goes into it.
Okay, one last question from me. Sorry, Dayo. Sorry. One last question. I wanted to know what your experience has been working with Alausa. There's a lot of Nigerian factor and all that, but what has your experience been working with the Alausa people in terms of, getting your facts, your details, and everything from them? Has it been smooth?
This man, you want to set me up? You want me to be abusing government? You want them to go and mention my name?
He's a classmate, that's why.
Sorry.
What do you want to do with my experience with Alausa?
The reason I say that is
Alausa is a wonderful. Alausa is a wonderful place.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Totally.
David,
you're speaking, please.
That's Kunle. David, please reach out to Jide Ogunleye privately, so maybe you can be able to get more information from him.
Hello, Dayo, who is speaking? It's Kunle, Abi.
Yeah.
Okay,
I call him David or Kunle, either one and destiny. So yeah, I just missed it now.
Kunle has been asking for. The same way Kunle has been asking for. You don't bring questions here, come here again.
I'm really trying to wrap up here, but questions are coming in, Jide. Let me ask the last three questions. Let me ask the last three questions and we'll wrap up, please. I don't like to stay on time. So, oh wow, it looks like it's not coming again and again. First one, I would like you to wrap up your answers, please. If the property is under a lien, just as you said, for you to rectify it, is the person going to pay on the value of the initial loan or on the current value of the money? When the property is under lien.
Okay. Do you want me to answer them together, or I should get all the questions at once?
That is one question. No, I'll answer them one by one so you don't mix it up. Let me answer. Let's go for the first one.
So for Alausa, to be fair with you, to get things done, you need an in-house person there to help you follow things up. You tip them, you only get things done, documents processed. If you don't have somebody pushing, you can push it yourself. That room is there, but to get it done faster, those civil servants are used to that. You have to just tip them, or else your file may drag. But over the years, the Lagos State government, kudos to them to be objective. They've tried to make the process as seamless as possible, as easy as possible, so that individuals can go and process their title and they will get it eventually. The time may just be different. So the second question is, so Alausa land use, land bureau, fantastic. So the second one is to rectify lien. What's the value of payment and what have you? When you talk about lien, there is a deed of mortgage that is always prepared between the bank and the is it mortgagee now, the person who is taking the loan. So all the terms will have been stated to say you are paying this over some certain number of years. If you default, this is the value. So whatever is in that agreement is what we use to clear that lien. So in Nigeria, once that lien is cleared, you get a letter from the bank to the Bureau of Land telling them that so person has paid off our lien on him. Please release that mortgage, release that deed, because that's every lien that is done by a Nigerian bank is registered with the Bureau of Land in Alausa. So that's the only way you can show on that title. So if you don't write that letter, the bank doesn't write the letter to clear it, it will still be showing. So the terms of that lien will determine what people pay.
All right, another question. I might not be able to ask all the questions. They just keep coming. I might probably refer you to Jide's Instagram so you can engage him directly. Is there any disadvantages of not paying land use charges?
Yes, it's good to pay land use charge. What's the purpose of land use charge? Is used to provide your roads, to provide your police and all that. You see, between you and I, Nigerians will say, hey, why are we paying tax? The government is not doing anything, everything. In Lagos State, I can tell you categorically that it's not everything that the government is collecting that is being embezzled. A bulk of it goes into social infrastructures. You see, Nigerian police, the Lagos police, Lagos State is the one equipping them. It's from that money that they will do that. The roads that they are fixing is from the land use charge that they will do that. So we can all decide not to pay all these things, and then we'll just see the state turn to something else. So it's good. It's good.
All right. Thank you very much. Two more questions. I think this is about the company. Is your company open to private financial investment If yes, what is the yield of investment? I think that's a private one they might have to reach out to you for, right?
No, I can share it here.
Okay, all right, go
You
ahead
know?
then. Thank you.
So we take investments from investors who wants to participate in the development segment. You know, we do that for this development segment alone, but we do in such a way that it's a partnership. It's not so like you are fixing. In the past, you could give estimate and say, hey, you are doing this after 1 year, you are getting this. But presently, we give a range, you know, averagely, let's say maybe between 25 to 40% to 50% in a year, depending on the nature of the investment. So, but the way we structure is such that whoever is investing is involved in all the process. So as we are building, you see how the flow of the money going into the project. As we are selling, you also see the price of the property in the market. And then you will have seen the estimated bill before the construction, so that you can take that bill, give it to a QS to value, to say that what we're actually planning to build, does it really worth it? So we do it for people who have good money, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. Yes, you can talk to us. You know, people have good money to invest. You can talk to us. So we do that. People come to see us for that from time to time. My Instagram handle is at Jide.Ogunleye. And then you can also follow at denarohomes.com on all social media platforms. Or me, Dayo, you know, he will give you all the details.
Me that I'm already thinking of how I'm going to come and check my account balance if I can come and invest it. Let me go and check up my Naira.
Oh yeah, now. Oh yeah, now. You are converting. You are converting dollar to Naira now.
All right, our final question we need to get out of here. How long has your company been in existence, and why should I use you? So before you answer that question, I went back to the previous slide where I introduced Jide. He has more than 12 years experience in real estate. All his Instagram, you can get all this information there. You can even look at the website and get more information. He actually has a 2-page introduction that I was able to compress into one slide. So pardon me that I did not introduce him very well. But Jide, final thoughts about you. How long has the company been in existence, and why should I use you?
Okay, our company has been in existence for the past 10 years now, over 10 years now. And why should you use us is because we grow slow and steady. We don't run with the noise in the market. People who are veterans in the industry know us. We are in the industry, you know, and what has kept us over the years is the fact that we value relationship. We have integrity. Our management, our board is filled with people who have integrity. Myself, I'm a chartered accountant, and people tell me part of your problem is that you are too straightforward. But that being too straightforward has been some of the reasons why people entrust resources to us. So we say it as it is. And over the past 10 years, at least we have nothing less than about 10, 12 projects, different projects under us. Some are housing units that have been delivered. Some are site and service schemes where people have bought land, they've gotten their allocation. We don't have such issues where people go to social media and they say, hey, we've bought land, they didn't give it to us. We never had it. There's no developer in Nigeria that doesn't have a department dedicated to police. We don't have it in our frame. We are at peace because we won't do more than what we can do. And so that integrity speaks for us in everything we do. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And just to wrap it up, I'm going to go back. The webinar recording will be posted on our YouTube channel at Bluebeam Edge. So maybe later today or tomorrow, I'll be able to put that up in on our YouTube channel. And if you want to know more about the webinars, you want to learn more, you know, type your email in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to add you to our mailing list for our next webinar. We'll really appreciate that if, you know, you can get to know more about our programs. Before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to a guy I don't know. Kayode, I know. I really appreciate your Zoom ethics. You did great. I think, let me just leave it like that. I appreciate your Zoom ethics, bro. Thank you very much for joining. To everybody that joined us today, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying with us. And to our presenter, I really appreciate it. Jide, it's been a great pleasure having you around with us. Thanks for the friendship.
Thank you.
For the time. I know it takes time to get a hold of you to come and present. So thank you very much for finally doing this.
Thank you.
And you can connect with us, connect with us at Blooming Edge. Our Facebook is Blooming Edge Group. The Instagram
You didn't
is
talk about what Blooming Edge does. Investments in USA, Texas, Dallas.
Well, I don't do much.
For people who don't know you before, you need to talk about that.
Yes, we are. I'll probably get there someday. We're not looking for partners right now. We're just mostly educating people. So I just want to make sure that we invest in people, we let people understand about real estate, and we make sure that we grow people to be wealthy and self-independent. So that's why we bring people like Denaro Homes, so that if people of integrity like you come to, they know you through us. I think we can vouch for you and they can invest through you. So that is our goal. With that, thank you everybody. I really appreciate it. Stay in touch and have a wonderful weekend. Bye everybody.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go